We call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024, a little past 9 a.m. Commission Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Boatright.
Here.
Present.
Commissioner Erdman.
Here.
Commissioner Newman.
Here.
Commissioner Slang.
Here.
Commissioner Baker. Here.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Exciting buzz in the room this morning, so that's great to see, and appreciate everyone being here. As we move forward with our business today, I have a friendly reminder for all that we are live streaming our open meetings for the public to view from their home or office. If you are speaking, please make sure you speak in the microphone, and the microphone is on so viewers can hear what is being said. We're going to start the meeting this morning with a brief safety emphasis. Evan Adrian, State Safety Coordinator, is going to share with us what we need to do in case of an emergency today. Evan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few safety reminders this morning in case there is an emergency event. In the event of a fire, the commission and the director and secretary will exit this back door, head out to Jefferson Street, and we'll meet the rest of the crowd. We will exit out these two doors, take a left, and go out the back doors. We'll meet in the parking lot and make our way up to the grassy area where we'll be out of the way of emergency responders. If there is a small fire in this room, we've asked Michael White to grab the fire extinguisher and put that out. If there is an event of severe weather, everyone will head down these two doors, head down the stairwell as far as we can get into the basement of the building. And if we are to evacuate this building, please make a note of who's sitting to your left and right so we can account for everybody when we get outside. If there's a medical emergency, there's multiple people that are certified in CPR in this room. We have Scott Kreutz is going to call 911 and direct them into this room. Becky has volunteered to administer CPR, and Eric will assist if need be. And there's lastly, our AED is right outside the doorway. And if we need the AED, Brenda Morris is going to grab that for us. And on a final note, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. MoDOT employees may come across many critical situations while working on our roadways. Issues at home or with family can impact our ability to focus on critical tasks. The department is working on new ways to support our staff's mental health so we all go home safely every day. MoDOT has been providing the key rings that we provided to the commission to all of our employees during our annual spring meetings. These key chains have the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, the MoDOT Employee Assistance Program, and our safety hotline. Our goal is to help our employees reach out more easily when they need help. Thank you. And that concludes today's Safety Minute.
Thank you, Evan. Next, I would like to recognize special guests. Today, we've got 12 to 15 members from the Missourians for Transportation Investment in attendance. So happy to have you here and doing the work that you're doing at the Capitol next door. You know, if you take a look at a snapshot in time of where we are, it's an extremely exciting time to be a Missourian. I mean, we are recapitalizing our infrastructure that has, for decades, not received the attention that it needs. So that doesn't happen without groups like this that take time out of you guys take time out of your busy schedule to come up to Jeff City to talk about how important infrastructure is to the state. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. So if we can, let's please give this group a round of applause for being here. Also in attendance today, we have the director of the Missouri Department of Conservation and the incoming director of the Missouri Department of Conservation, effective June the 1st. And we're so happy to have you here in the partnership that, the structure between the two organizations is very similar. We have 2 additional commissioners. You guys have 4, but a lot of the issues that come up and the guidance of the departments is through the commission's authority. And it's very important for us as a state. I think not only on the conservation side of things, but on transportation as well, we've done a really good job as a state on investing in both of those categories. So it's really great to have you here today. And I'm going to deviate and exercise a little bit of chairman authority here. Director, if you would come up, Director Pauly, if you would come up to the front, we have a resolution that we would like to present to you. So I'm not going to read all of this, but it just reiterates some of the things I just mentioned. This is for recognition of the work that you have done for Missouri, the wrangling of the commission that you've done over the years, and we just really appreciate that partnership and want to express that through this resolution. So if we can come up and get a photo, it'd be great. Yep.
Thank you so
We truly appreciate your years of service and the commitment that you've had to the state of Missouri. Director, would you like to say a few words?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sarah, congratulations on your retirement. I want to say we really do feel a deep connection between the agencies, and that's borne out even in the individual relationships that your team, yourself, and the MoDOT team working together. The citizens of Missouri did some wise things a long time ago by vesting responsibilities into and authorities in the commissions of both organizations. And those weren't, I wouldn't say those were gifts. Those were responsibilities vested upon these commissions to fulfill the mission very directly to each of these entities in the part of preserving our natural heritage and then building the infrastructure. And I think that common bond, particularly as we go through, ups and downs politically, as we do, it's important to have those relationships between the agencies that have common structures. And I think Sarah's been the epitome of not only a leader at the state level, but a defender of the constitutional issues that come before her commission. That's helped lead the way in some of the actions that this commission have taken. And just on a personal basis, when I came to Missouri, Sarah was very welcoming in the cabinet, has become not only a great colleague, but a friend. And I have watched with great admiration not only her leadership in Missouri, but on a national scale, leading the nation. The testimony with Senator Blunt when you're advocating for significant national legislation was really something to behold. And you did a fantastic job. Great career, and we are all jealous of all of the, Sarah came off a turkey hunt to be with us this morning. And Jason is learning what a short timer disease comes in real quick. So, but I also want to welcome Jason. I know that, we're very fortunate in the state. A national search was done, and what they learned was that we had the talent right here to take on this role. So congratulations to both of you, and thank you for your service.
Well said, Director. Moving on, next I need to go over a few procedural items. Public comment period. I want to remind everybody that we have a public comment period, and we are pleased to offer this to every Missourian who wants to come before the commission to address an issue or concern. Any of you that would like to address the commission, please sign up before 9:30 a.m. A reminder, you will have 5 minutes for public comment or 10 minutes per subject. Abstentions. Next, I would like to review our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interests, or lawyers that may represent clients that either have some relationship to a matter coming before the commission, or may have a political or actual conflict of interest to be considered or voted upon. The commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or recuse him or herself from participating in discussion of an agenda item. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or like, a commissioner may specify that the particular matter and still vote on the remainder of the agenda item. This information is provided to the commission secretary by letter in advance of the meeting. The commission secretary will duly indicate the abstentions or recusals accordingly in the minutes of the meeting. Madam Secretary, have the necessary letters been prepared? Awesome. Terrific. Before we begin with our regular agenda items today, I want to take a moment to address some vacancies on our committees and boards. Currently, the commission has 2 committees, Audit Committee and the Legislative Committee. There are 2 boards with commission membership, the MoDOT and Patrol Employees Retirement System Board, EMPERS, and the Missouri Transportation Finance Corporation Board of Directors, MTFC. Periodically, the commission will need to reorganize the members who serve on committees or boards. On MTFC, there is a vacancy. The commission elects a commissioner to serve on this board. First, I would like to take a moment and entertain any nominations for a position to fill the MTFC board.
I'd like to nominate our newest colleague, Anne Marie, to serve on the Transportation Loan Corporation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Anne Marie.
Got her started. Let's keep going.
Yeah. The next committee, Audit. I would like to fill 1 vacant seat on the Audit Committee. Before the meeting today, I spoke to Commissioner Anne Marie, who has agreed to serve on the Audit Committee. So you have 2 new jobs on top of being a new commissioner this month. So congratulations on that. And I just realized that we jumped into this meeting. We had a lot of folks in the room, and I did not get to take a moment to welcome our newest commissioner to the I put you to work before I welcomed you. So I would like to take a moment to recognize and welcome our newest member of the commission, Ms. Anne Marie Baker from Springfield, Missouri. So we're so blessed to have you on, and look forward to serving with you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay, moving on. We also, with the filling of the position of Terry Ecker, we have a vacancy within the vice chair of the commission. So next, we're going to move into the election of the vice chair. In accordance to section 226.0302 RSMO, the commission should elect 2 members from opposing political parties who have the most seniority in commission service to serve in commission leadership. Commissioner Smith is our most senior member and is eligible to serve as vice chair. However, he's made it pretty clear that he's not going to serve in that vice chair position.
Motion to reconsider.
The next most senior member eligible for this position is Commissioner Erdman. So with that, I will entertain a nomination and a second for the election of a vice chair.
So moved.
For the election of
Vice Chair.
Commissioner
Erdman.
I'm sorry, I thought. you
That's
said-
okay. No. So we have a motion and a second for Commissioner Erdman to serve as vice chair. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Congratulations.
All right. First item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. Are there any additions or subtractions, corrections to the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, actually, can we table that item for June, please?
Table
The minutes.
for June.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to table that until June.
So I need to withdraw my motion
Withdraw the motion.
to do.
Make a motion to table, I move that we table it.
We have a motion to
Adoption of
table?
the minutes until June.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next item is consideration of items on the consent agenda. Does anybody need to remove or add any items to the consent agenda? Do we have a motion and a second for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Next item are committee and board reports. First item is I serve on the audit committee along with Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Slay will give today's report.
There is no report this month. Our next audit committee is for next month, June.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Slay. All commissioners are members of the legislative committee, and the commission's chair and vice chair serve as co-chairs of the legislative of the legislative committee. Today, I will give the report. So let's move into that. The General Assembly is now in the last days of its annual legislative session. The legislature continues debating the state's fiscal 2025 budget, which has a deadline of passage by May the 10th. Once truly agreed to and finally passed, the proposed budget will be sent to the governor for his consideration and signature. Today in his report, Director McKenna will have some updates for us on what the department's budget could include from these legislative actions from the session. Also, at this point in time, we're closely monitoring two different legislative initiatives that can impact transportation revenues. One proposal could impact state road funds by requiring the department to pay for utility relocations for non-rate regulated utility companies. The second concerning measure could place the state of Missouri out of compliance with federal laws as it relates to allowing certain types of outdoor advertising. While we can't yet predict what legislative initiatives will pass this session, we're hoping no problematic transportation-related proposals are passed before the end of the year. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for a positive outcome. During our June commission meeting, I'll have a more in-depth legislative report highlighting those proposals that passed or failed during the legislative session. This ends my report. So moving on to the next item, Commissioner Smith serves as president of the Mhtc, and Commissioner Erdman is a board member. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Erdman and Commissioner Anne Marie Baker are board members. Commissioner Smith will provide today's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board met earlier this morning. At our meeting, we elected officers and approved the fiscal year 2025 budget. So our next meeting is scheduled for August.
Great.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Next item is the Emperor's Report. Commissioners Erdman, Hegeman, and I serve on Emperor's. Today, Commissioner Erdman will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report this month. But the three of us will be delighted to attend the next board meeting of Emperors on June 20th, 2024. I do believe that Commissioner Hegeman will be having his Emperors Board orientation later this month. I know you're looking forward to that.
Yes, very much so.
And we'll have a report after the June 20th meeting of the Emperors Board. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Last item is Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee, and today I will provide that report. As of Friday, April 26th, there have been 244 traffic fatalities in Missouri this year. This is 8 more fatalities than the same time period last year, a 3% increase. There are 47 counties in Missouri that have 0 traffic fatalities so far this year, which is a positive step in the right direction. Last month, MoDOT was proud to join AAA and other safety advocates for Distracted Driving Awareness Day at the Capitol. This event was a great opportunity to continue highlighting the issue of distracted driving, further promote Missouri's new hands-free law, and recognize the winning schools of the Buckle Up, Phone Down High School Showdown. This event also highlighted Work Zone Awareness Week, which the director will discuss in further details during his report. May is Motorcycle Awareness Month, and the last several years have proven that this is a critical issue to our state. It's a good time to remind drivers that as motorcycle traffic increases, we can all help keep them safe by looking twice before changing lanes, before entering roadways, and before turning in front of traffic. Like pedestrians and bicyclists, motorcyclists can be difficult to see, and when we don't slow down and take time to make sure the path is clear, accidents can happen. Likewise, we encourage all motorcycles to ride responsibly and to always wear a helmet. We can't say enough, please don't drive distracted, buckle up, phone down, and this concludes my report. Moving on to the fourth agenda item, we're moving on to the MoDOT's Director's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Commissioner Baker, on behalf of the entire MoDOT staff, welcome. We look forward to working with you. So congratulations on your appointment and your additional appointments just a few minutes ago. So we look forward to working with you. It's a busy group, and we really do benefit each and every time we bring a new commissioner comes and volunteers to this board. I think the department truly benefits from the experiences and the experience of our commission, and we're a better organization for it. So thank you for joining up. On Sunday, April 28th, a bridge on Route A in Adair County collapsed due to flooding on the North Fork of the South Fabius River. We've got some photos here, and you can see as we mentioned, as we talk a little bit later about the budget, I think this is a pretty stark reminder of why we're at the tasks that we're at. This is a bridge that had already been identified as one that needed replacement and was scheduled for replacement for a contract to be let in January of next year. Our team, Ed Hassinger, Eric Schrader, and our team are looking at that was going to be part of a bridge bundle. And this serves about 575 vehicles a day. It was built in 1941. Our Northwest District team and our bridge inspection team quickly responded to this to barricade off the road and to inspect and evaluate the situation. We're glad that nobody was injured in this, but with substantial flooding that occurred, this is what can be the result, particularly on some of our older structures. We are working to see if we can pull that bridge out of that bundle to be let in January, and we're working diligently to see if we can accelerate that, what the costs and the result of that will be. We're working with some consulting teams to accelerate the engineering on that. We should be able to report on that fairly soon. We understand that those 575 vehicles represent people getting to work, going to their homes, connecting to their community. We know this is a an imposition on them, and we're working diligently to accelerate and replace that bridge and get it back open so the community can be served by it. It's a reminder of the age and condition of our infrastructure. While the past 5 years, we've been able to repair or replace 1,019 bridges, including the 250 that were funded through the governor's Focus on Bridge program. We are reminded that at the state level, we have 10,400 bridges to maintain, and 759 of them are in poor condition. They're not unsafe. They're inspected multiple times a year when they get to that age. But the work still is ahead of us, not behind us, and we recognize that. Another sobering event that we've had of late, the Missouri and Kansas Departments of Transportation, we have a bi-state agreement to jointly operate an intelligent transportation system for the Kansas City metro area. It's called KC Scout. On April 25th, the KC Scout suffered a cyber attack. Staff took immediate protective action and shut down the KC Scout systems. This protective measure means all real-time cameras, information boards, and the KC Scout website and app are not functioning. The system has been and will remain unavailable until further notice as restoration of service efforts are underway. At this time, we don't have an estimate and can share the timeline on the restoration of services. MoDOT and KDOT will continue to work together and provide updates on service restoration as information becomes available. While the real-time data isn't available, and while we are recognizing how valuable that information is, the public can get information via MoDOT's toll-free number, website, and social media channels, or in Kansas through KDOT 511 number or the candrive.gov website. So we're kind of back to the future here on operations there for a little while, but I'm pleased to report the team acted quickly, minimized the damage, and we'll keep you informed on further actions. As was mentioned by the chairman's report for the Coalition on Roadway Safety, a few weeks ago marked the National Work Zone Awareness Week. We celebrated by joining AAA's Distracted Driving Day at the Capitol, and we drew attention on the lives on the line when drivers choose to be on their phones or drive too fast through our work zones. MoDOT Deputy Director and Chief Engineer Ed Hassinger was able to join our partners at the event to talk about the concerning trend we're seeing in our work zones. We don't want to be settling or setting work zone crashes and crash records like we have this past year. We have thousands of team members with their boots on the ground doing the work to keep our highway system safe and efficient. One of those employees, St. Louis intermediate maintenance worker Brian Rickman, also shared his story at the event. Brian has worked at MoDOT for 4 years, and he's been struck in a TMA, the protective vehicle that protects our other employees, 3 times. He's been here 4 years, and he's been struck 3 times. It's alarming and unacceptable. In one of those crashes, the driver sped into the TMA over 80 miles per hour without touching the brakes. No indication, wasn't looking in front of him at all. Last year, MoDOT's TMAs were struck 63 times. Brian took the opportunity on behalf of our team to plead with the public to pay attention while driving because they play a critical role in work zone safety. We have a video to share with the event.
During National Work Zone Awareness Week, MoDOT tries to make sure that people are aware of what we're doing out there. And one of the examples I use is we have truck-mounted attenuators on our trucks. So big yellow truck, a lot of flashing lights. They have a big crash cushion hanging out the back of them. And that's what stands between distracted drivers and our folks that are on the ground trying to do the work of the people.
Somebody asked me, what's it like to be hit? It's pretty scary, you know, and you have it multiple times a day. People come through and have close calls, but once you realize that they're not going to stop, you need to try to get yourself in a better position. So you move ahead, and once you realize that moving ahead, you're not going to get away, you have to brace yourself. When you brace yourself, you got to think to yourself, am I going to be in what position am I going to be? I don't want to go in the other lanes and another family, kids or something driving by, or go off into the median, maybe hurt somebody else, go hit it head on. So you got to think about all this different stuff in probably a 10-second of a timeline. So there's like a lot of stuff going through your head. And then once you're out there, you see a big truck out there. It's not just a truck, it's a person.
Driving distracted can stop your story in its tracks, one way or the other. Was the video, text, reel, email, etc. really worth it? Death caused by distracted driving is preventable. I am very proud to say this year that Missouri has a hands-free law and it is now against the law to drive with your phone in your hand. So buckle up and put your phone down. Thank you. You guys, the coolest thing is 2 years before the 2-year anniversary of Mike's death in a distracted driving accident, this thing became a law in Missouri, and it was incredible.
That 7.8% drop in cell phone distraction over the last 8 months has prevented 450 car crashes, 250 injuries, and $18 million in economic damages on our Missouri roads. So that is a truly remarkable achievement in traffic safety.
You know, great example there when you think of Brian. You know, what's the first thing that comes to his mind when he can see that he's going to be hit? He's concerned about what the impact of his vehicle being moved will have on other people. He didn't talk about what the impact was going to be to him. He was thinking about would he be pushed into a lane of traffic. So he's aligning his tires to make sure he's going straight ahead. Really extraordinary service and an example of that. But to be welcomed into MoDOT in your 4 years of service and be struck 3 times and to keep coming back and being a part of the solution, because he probably saved our employees' lives. I would say, I would almost guarantee, particularly the person that was driving 80 miles per hour. And when you think about the grace of widows of people that their families were the victim of distracted driving, to come and advocate for public policy reform in this state. Missouri has one of the worst public policy combination of countermeasures for public safety on our roadways in the country. And public policy matters here. The repeal of the motorcycle helmet law a couple of years ago has led to record numbers of fatalities of motorcyclists in our state. And it's masking the good work that the Siddons-Benning bill on distracted driving just did. You know, we've been tracking this, and almost an 8% reduction in distracted driving, as you heard in the video referenced. That's a very significant decline in an 8-month period. It proves that public policy matters. And, you know, it's not about taking individual rights away from people. It's about making sure that people are respectful and responsible while they're operating motor vehicles on our roadways. Because in many cases, what we found is that distracted drivers, the damage that's caused is typically not to the driver themselves, it's to others as well. So it's not just about an individual freedom here, but it's extraordinary to have individuals that through that pain try to protect others. And I would say that hands down, the reason that bill passed was the personal stories of those individuals and the grace and their concern of others to pass that. It was just truly extraordinary. We appreciate the partnership with AAA. They've done an unbelievable job, not only here in Missouri, but around the country. And their support of the Buckle Up, Phone Down campaign with really exciting competitions at the high school level and at the corporate level has energized our program and continued to spread this around the country. So we're very grateful for AAA and their partnership. Tonight and tomorrow, the MoDOT I-70 team is hosting public hearings on the first Improve I-70 project from Columbia to Kingdom City. This is an opportunity for the public to come preview the project designs, learn about the construction plan, and chat with the project team before work begins on the road this summer. This is the first construction project on the Improve I-70 program, and it'll add a third lane in each direction between US 63 and US 54. It also includes improvements at the I-70 interchanges at both locations. More information can be found on our website, modot.org/improve I-70. Also, just yesterday, we had a nice celebration. You can see a picture here with Greg Smith about to pole vault in an Olympic competition. But the Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge was officially transferred to MoDOT to the commission yesterday. I want to thank commissioners in attendance. It was a wonderful day, wonderful celebration, great public-private partnership. You know, the Commissioner Erdman and his remarks really talked about the historic nature of it and the innovation of the community to bring this vision forward. That, you know, and this was 30 years ago, the commission made a historic decision to approve the first Missouri Transportation Corporation, whose revenue source would be non-tax user fees, Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge Transportation Corporation. In May of 1998, the bridge opened as a toll bridge. In 2012, the Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge Transportation Development District was created, and the commission agreed to a plan to transfer the bridge upon the payment in full of the bonds. Earlier this year, the commission granted the request that MoDOT assumes responsibility for the maintenance of the Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge, bringing it into the state system. That transfer occurred with yesterday's ceremony. It's been a long road and a lot of hard work for the Lake of the Ozarks Bridge District. Want to thank you to the MoDOT team members from our central district. Michelle is here. They've worked very closely with that district over the years. And really, it's an example of good maintenance and good stewardship. That bridge is in good condition. Work was done in the preceding couple years, negotiating the transfer. And we can now say there are no toll roads or bridges in the state of Missouri. That's a big day, pretty striking. And at the ceremony itself, it was really interesting. You can see the Ozarks Transportation Corporation, led by 97-year-old president who gave an eloquent speech yesterday as well. And as was said by Joe Rager, he said their intention was to play out this whole thing, transfer the bridge, and then retire from this and to fully close it down. And also, Commissioner Erdman noted yesterday when we were talking, he said just as the final toll was paid, and we were able to witness that, he said it was, you know, it was quite a feat for the Central District, but MoDOT trucks were rolling, striping trucks were rolling right after that to put MoDOT standard striping on that bridge as well. So the timing, Michelle, very, very, very wise on your team's part. But the first person that paid the toll was also the last person that paid it, and then the first person to drive over it after it was free. Really fitting day, big celebration for the community, and they did a wonderful job hosting, and we're pleased to be a part of it. Later this morning, you'll hear a presentation on this year's annual Innovations Showcase, which was held a couple weeks ago. In addition to what you'll hear from Kelly, I just want to iterate, you know, how proud I am of the MoDOT team, the innovations that are brought forward. Employees across the state show their creativity and ideas to innovate things our team can use in our daily tasks to make things safer, to make things essentially more cost-effective for taxpayers. It's been an amazing thing. Every single year, we think there can't possibly be any more ideas, and yet there are. And this is a competition. It's held regionally. It's brought up through this. I give our chief engineer and deputy Ed Hassender a lot of credit. He's been building a culture of innovation for his entire time here. And challenging the team to continue to bring ideas forward. It's as the chairman knows, having attended and many others that have done that over the years. It's just an amazing team at MoDOT, and we incentivize this, but we also put these actions to practice. Several years ago, former Chairman Mike Pace challenged the organization not only to run this innovation showcase each and every year, but to operationalize the innovations as best we can and as quickly as possible to keep our team safe. And that has really led to a lot of, if you will, spread of innovation throughout the organization. And again, really proud of the team and the work that they do. You'll hear more and see a little bit more about this. And finally, just wanted to talk a little bit about the budget. As we know, last week the Senate had their committee markup, so they modified provisions that were brought forward, crossed over by the House Budget Committee, and there are really several exciting possibilities. Nearly, over 30 projects that may receive general revenue funding. The lion's share of those have gone through local planning process, through the unfunded needs process, and we are truly grateful for the work that the General Assembly is doing to recognize individual projects in their areas, ones that have come through this planning process, and to put a stamp on their support for these projects through the budget process. The Commission's direction several years ago to do a better job of articulating those projects that we weren't getting to by virtue of the funding constraints that we had, I think is paying great dividends. And if the budget holds as it's going, in just the last 3 years' time, nearly, well north of $5 billion of general revenue will have been contributed to take on unfunded needs in this state. And our team is working diligently, as I just mentioned, with I-70 being the kind of the headline of all of that $2.8 billion investment. That funding became available last August, and last month we had announced the signing of the initial contract. So work underway very quickly for a DOT to bring an interstate project forward. I think you have to acknowledge the partnership of Federal Highway Administration in that as well. Their division office here in the state is working with us, alongside us, to make sure that all the approvals that are necessary in order to build an interstate project are being brought forward and approved efficiently. Great partnership and dialogue. We had folks in from Washington with our team just last month to carry that forward and to continue the work. So we're very grateful for this insertion. We appreciate the Commission's direction on unfunded needs, because I think it's truly giving us an opportunity to take advantage of this time, which may be a narrow window in time when we look at it. But when we look back, I think we will have significantly improved the infrastructure in the state. So we will continue to work. We understand that when the Senate gets to the budget, there may well be line-by-line review of these. Our staff has been put on alert to be available to answer questions through that process, which we will do. And we look forward to its conclusion and then further debate and conference between the House and the Senate. Mr. Chairman, that is my report.
Director, thank you.
I'd like to say something, Patrick, thank you for a good report. And I just want to publicly thank maintenance worker Brian Rickman for coming forward and sharing his story. Very moving story. It's important to hear from people. I think if all drivers could hear from the people out there that are affected by this distracted driving, it might make them think a little bit more. So, we all love to see work done on our roads, and potholes filled and bridges fixed, but we also want our employees to go home safe at night. So getting hit 3 times in 4 years it's unacceptable. It really is. And yesterday was a great event. It really was. It's cool. We had to wait for that car to come back over the bridge. I was sitting there with Governor Kehoe yesterday, and we waited and waited and waited, and I said, must be a Chevrolet. He said, yeah, probably. He said, yeah, it is, and it probably won't start. Anyway, when it come across the bridge, what kind of truck was that? Anyway, again, it's very moving that they share those stories. I can't imagine thinking that, what flashes in your eyes, your family, your coworkers like him. So, but anyway, that concludes my conversation here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank
Rattling
you,
on.
thank you, Commissioner Smith. And just for the record, he is a Ford dealer. So, Commissioner, yeah, that's right. Commissioner Erdman.
Yeah, well, thank you. Echo what Greg just had to say. I want to echo Director McKenna's comments about the innovation that we saw yesterday at the Lake of the Ozarks. That was a problem that a community identified, and they didn't let anything get in their way. They found a way to do it. They found a way to do it that was innovative and creative and visionary, and it benefited the Department of Transportation and the people of Missouri in doing it. I don't know of a project in Missouri where the local innovation was more determined than we saw there. So shout out to our friends in the Lake of the Ozarks community for this project. And Michelle, I want to shout out to you too. I had the opportunity to accept the bridge on behalf of the commission because Chairman Boatwright was fogged in Cape. And in my remarks, I promised the local community assembled, who was a big crowd of people, I promised them that we would take good care of the bridge. And right on cue, Michelle had MoDOT trucks striping, which I've had no idea, but right on cue, she had MoDOT trucks striping the bridge as we took over control of it. And the community witnessed all of that. Couldn't have been better. So again, shout out to the Lake of the Ozarks for a job well done.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Erdman. And just to echo those comments, when you have communities come together and you have that sort of leadership that pushes something like that forward, it makes us all better. It doesn't matter where you live in Missouri. That sort of leadership to accomplish something for a community is a big deal. So really kudos to this group. It's made a massive change at the lake. So it's exciting to have this sort of leadership in Missouri, really plowing the way for the rest of us. All right, moving into action items. So the next item on the agenda is an action item. Kenny Voss, State Design Engineer, will present bids for our consideration. Kenny?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Director. For the April 19, 2024 bid opening, MoDOT received 113 bids on 35 calls. We recommend the following to you today. To award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder, except call C01 located in the Kansas City District. We recommend rejection of call C01 due to excessive bids per section 102.15A of the Missouri Standard Specifications for Highway Construction. Also, the city of Cape Girardeau received 4 bids on April 9, 2024 for the construction of the intersection improvements at Route 74 and Minnesota Avenue in Cape Girardeau County. We recommend the commission concur in award of this project to the lowest responsive bidder.
Thank you, Kenny. Does anybody have any question or comments?
I move that we approve Kenny's recommendation.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Kenny. Do you have a budget update?
Yes. Today's awards are for a total of $67.8 million, which is $0.6 million over budget. Today's awards result in a state fiscal year 2024 awards total to date of $1.5 billion, which is a cost of 1.4% or $21 million over budget on $1.5 billion worth of work for the year. We have one more letting for this fiscal year in May, which we're looking at about $125 million worth of work. But I do want to thank the program delivery team that delivers these projects. When we talk about $1.5 billion of work, it's amazing. those resources are strained just like the rest of the department, but they continue to deliver results. And we don't want to take that for granted because we keep on adding more and more funding for transportation projects, which is exceptional for the state of Missouri. But those resources continue to deliver, but they are strained. So
Sure.
I just want to thank them for their efforts.
That was the 5-year plan not so long ago, all
Right.
done in 1 year.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
Yeah.
No, and Kenny, I mean, just, getting to sit on this side of the table and see the team execute month after month is really exciting. There's no question that you have an outstanding group of folks that know exactly what they're doing. And the speed and the efficiency of getting projects out the door is really impressive. So appreciate everything you and your team do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Kenny, too, I really appreciate all your efforts. It's great to see that the inflation that we've seen the past few years leveling off now, and also really great to see there's more people coming into the market and getting more and more bidders on these projects. It's encouraging to see that. One bidder doesn't give much competition. And so,
Yeah, for sure. One of the things we were worried about was, as we add more projects to that and more money to transportation, whether we would see more inflation. And so far, it's stabilized pretty well.
yeah, that's great. Thank you for your work there.
All right, thank you
What did
again.
you say that the oil prices were yesterday?
The oil prices have, been pretty stable, but about $95 a ton is what we're getting for asphalt.
A year ago, it was 115.
Right.
Big difference. Yeah, thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next agenda item, we have Brian Hartnagel, State Bridge Engineer, will provide an update on the Focus on Bridge program. Brian?
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Boatwright, Commissioners, Director McKenna, Madam Secretary. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the Governor Parsons Focus on Bridge program. I have a presentation there it is. Okay, awesome. So one thing we don't do very well at MoDOT is talk about or celebrate our accomplishments. We just do it, finish, go on to the next item. So we're going to take a few minutes here today and celebrate the accomplishments of Governor Parsons' vision on the Focus on Bridge program. So basically, we had about $51 million of general revenue-like monies to repair or replace 250 bridges. Governor Parson presented this in his January 16th, 2019 State of the State address, and presented that vision, and then went on a tour around the state in February and March of 2019, and also in the fall of 2019. But initially, $50 million was set aside in fiscal year 2020 general revenue to address 45 bridges. And then there was a Senate concurrent resolution number 14 that said if MoDOT got a infra grant, which is Infrastructure for Rebuilding America grant, they would activate bonding for an additional $301 million for an additional 215 bridges. Well, in July of 2019, MoDOT was informed that we got the infra grant for $81.2 million to address climbing lanes on I-70 and also the Roachport Bridge project that's going on. So that triggered the additional $301 million, and those bonds will be repaid over 7 years from general revenue. Chief Financial Officer Brenda Morris informs us that they will be completely paid in May of 2027. So if we look at the project timeline, we got to work right away. The vision from the governor was presented in January of 2019. The legislature passed the first part of that, the 50 million. And so we had the first 4 bridges of this project were led in June of 2019, awarded by the commission in July of 2019, the first month of fiscal year 2020. Here you see the governor. This is Route D in Callaway County over I-70, one of the projects that was in the Focus on Bridge. We have Transportation Project Manager Mia Peters from Central District, and also District Construction and Materials Engineer Mike Shoup from Central District there. This took place in November of 2019. So the next thing that happened, we celebrated 100 bridges opened 18 months later in December 2020. So 40% of the 250 were completed in 18 months. And the commission last year at its March 2023 meeting awarded the final 3 bridges in the program. If we look at the impact to the state, you see here we cover the whole state, all districts, all geographic regions, and the 4 different colors there of each of the projects are significant for the fiscal year that they were in. So fiscal year 2020, 21, 22, and 23, all of those projects. By the numbers, so who benefited other than the citizens of the state? 32 contractors got work out of this job on 151 contracts that the commission awarded. 235 of those were the traditional design, bid, build, procurement process. 15 were design build, 2 on the I-70 Mineola Hill project, and 13 in the Boot Heel Bridge bundle. Our staff delivered plans for 116 of those bridges, and 134 sets of plans were delivered by consultants. I didn't take the time to figure out how many different consultants were involved on this, but the number is great as well. And some of our partners that were here earlier were some of those people that did that work. So out of the 250 structures that we did, 156 of those were replacements. So more than half were replacements. 54 were rehabilitations, which may be something like a concrete overlay or expansion joint replacements, things like that that would extend the bridge life by 20 years or more. 38 redecks, we consider that probably a 35 to 40 year fix. And then 2 superstructure replacements as well, and I'll highlight one of those here in a moment. So as I mentioned, the governor did a tour, and this is Andrew County, I-29 over Route T. This took place on November 18th, 2019. We see former State Representative Sheila Solon, Commissioner Daniel Hagemer, that was Senator, of District 6, the director, and the governor there. So
we hooked him that day. That's when
we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, the bridges behind here were repaired in that in the Focus on Bridge program. Here we see another one. This took place in February of 2019. This is Route H in Cole County, not too far from here. This is kind of the kickoff of the program. Obviously, the legislature hasn't passed this at this time. You see the map that I showed you there. The governor, deputy director, chief engineer is there, and State Senator Mike Bernskatter is in the background there. Again, Mia Peters is there. The piece of steel that you see the governor holding is not as concerning as you might think. It's a stay-in-place form. So after the concrete deck is cured, that's unnecessary, but obviously you see how corroded it is. The bridge is in poor condition, but that's not part of the stuff holding the bridge up. So at this time. So what did we do? This is one of the superstructure replacements here. And we heard a little bit of talk of innovation. We did a little innovation in the Focus on Bridge program. On the top left there, you see the deck before the concrete is cast. We used GFRP, glass fiber reinforced polymer reinforcing bars to hopefully reduce the corrosion. Obviously, those don't corrode. And so that's one of the things we've done on about 10 bridges throughout the state. The weathering steel superstructure replacement is shown on the top right. If you look at the panorama there, on the right side of the panorama, maybe it's hard to see here, but the original bridge that was built in 1926 and that was replaced by the current one there in 1963 is shown there as well. We hope that this superstructure replacement gives us about 50 years of life additional on the substructure that was constructed in 1963. The plate is from the original bridge there with the 1926 date there. Okay, so completed bridges here. This took place on October 24th, 2023. This is one of the last ones. This is Route A over the Whitewater River, Cape Girardeau County. In the picture there, you see the governor, Chairman Boatwright, the director, and that's Cape Girardeau County Presiding Commissioner Clint Tracy, yes. And then the governor is proud of this program, as are we. This is a screen grab of his LinkedIn page on that day, celebrating the opening of that bridge. The pictures there, the before and after on that. Here's a few more of the completed bridges, and you'll notice that they're all in the Southeast District. It's not to please Commissioner Boatwright, but we also aren't very good at we just move on to the next task. So these are from Robertson Constructors, one of the contractors that did the Boot Heel Bridge Bundle, and they did a good job of documenting completed bridges. Like I said, our people, we just move on to the next one and go on. So we have Route W over the Black River in Butler County, starting from the bottom left. Route 67 southbound over Route 8, St. Francis County there. And then the other two are Route 51 over the Castor River. I showed the curve one earlier in the other picture, but this is the overflow structure and the mainline structure. Robertson Contractors, nice drone photos of those structures. A few more completed bridges also that were in the Boot Heel Bridge Bundle. Route E over drainage ditches. There's 4 drainage ditches there, 251, 258, and 259 in Pemiscot County. You see here, we built those bridges on an offset alignment, so the traveling public was not inconvenienced. Once the new bridges were open, the old ones were obliterated and removed from service. And then the other bridge there is Route N over Indian Creek in St. Francis County. Pre-stressed box beams, make a nice bridge over that one. So I'm going to conclude to let the governor in the celebration here. This took place on December 19th, 2023, Blue Ridge Boulevard over I-70 in Kansas City, Independence, Missouri. So we'll just let the
I've got one sign I'm going to put on here. It's going to say completed as promised. The last focus on bridge to be done will be in Independence, Missouri, right here today. So thank you all for coming. As always, it is an honor and privilege to be the 57th governor of the great state of Missouri.
All right. So with that, it's really unusual that a sitting governor would have a visionary program initiated, see it completed in his term there. So that concludes my presentation, and I'd like to address any questions that you may have.
Any questions or comments?
Well, thank you, Brian, for the update. We're all impressed by the Focus on Bridge program. The fact that we got 250 of these done during the governor's term is certainly a feat in and of itself, even during a pandemic.
Yes.
Sometimes it gets lost on us what a tremendous feat that was. Governor Parson will be remembered for many things, certainly in the areas of workforce and infrastructure, but his commitment and contribution to safety through the bridge program, the Focus on Bridge program, may be among the most important. We get people safely where they want to go because we take care of our bridges, and if we didn't need to be reminded of that Route A up in Adair County, certainly did remind us of it this weekend.
Yes.
So thank you. Many more to go, but this is a moment of celebration for a job well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Director?
You know, I think one thing to note is the care that we take within the organization, even when our project delivery team, program delivery team is stressed to the limits. We had 116 of these designed in-house. So we really do use public-private partnership here. We augment our team with external consultant resources, but making sure that our team is capable of bridge design in the core engineering. Commissioner Hegeman and I were talking about this last night. Having that core competence, even when we outsource work, we know what we're getting for it, and that preserves taxpayer value is what it does. So, you know, the work to do that and to take the time and to continue to train our team, and not just on simple things, but on difficult things, that gives us the muscle memory to serve the public even better. And we see that declining in states around the country, and I think that's an alarming trend, one we continue to try to buck here in Missouri.
Thank you, Director. Brian, so 3 things that I think we need to give, and you've done an excellent job of doing this, but, you know, number 1, the governor.
Yes, absolutely.
Number 2, the General Assembly for funding this initiative. And then number 3, the team that executed it, this MoDOT team. And you made the comment that it's not normal for a sitting governor to get to see something all the way through. Well, it is Missouri. When you've got a team like we've got that can execute, yeah, I mean, that's something that we can do time and time again, because this team can get the work done quickly. And I'm very proud of that. And, you know, these examples, I think this Focus on Bridge program, the way it was executed there in the timeline that it was executed in, really is the catalyst for where we are with this almost $5 billion of funding from the General Assembly. It's a big deal. So again, thank you and the team. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Chris Engelbrecht, State Safety and Emergency Management Director, will present an update on the department's safety focus. Chris?
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. Today, I want to provide the Commission an update on the status of MoDOT's occupational safety program. Last year, you heard from our Chief Safety and Operations Officer, Becky Almroth, on some of the actions that we've taken in the 2 years following the pandemic. Today, I want to highlight some of the investments we're making in our safety program, and also some of the continuing actions we're taking to protect our workers, along with some of the results that we are beginning to see. We continue to utilize an incident command type structure to manage our safety efforts statewide. We do refer to this structure as our SRT, or Safety Response Team. This is a multidiscipline team that is made up of 6 core. Is that better? It's made up of 6 core functions, 4 support sections, and staffed with dozens of active managers, specialists, and employees. The structure has been a very efficient and effective way of implementing safety improvements over the last few years. The Safety Response Team was recently announced as winner of the Governor's Award of Distinction for Safety. MoDOT will be receiving an award during a statewide ceremony on June 26th. So formal and consistent safety expectations for work crews have been in place since 2021. The poster that we have up here on the display is actually a reminder that we have in our maintenance facilities of the importance of detailed planning for our daily work. Every day, crews are expected to look at their risk-based assessments, determine what work zone typical applications they need to utilize, also assign roles and equipment to our employees, stretch and flex to warm up their muscles, and then also review any statewide safety alerts. You know, daily planning is one of the most critical things we can do to make sure that our crews are safe and that they get home each night to their families. One of the most substantial updates that we've made from the SRT over the last couple of years is our update to the typical applications. The typical applications, or TAs as we refer to them, are basic traffic control plans that detail the specific requirements for both our traffic control items like advance warning and channelization and protective vehicle use. The SRT team performed comprehensive review of more than 50 of our typical applications. We wanted to make sure that we had clarity for our maintenance employees, but also we had consistency with the federal MUTCD, or Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. The updates were completed in September of 2023, and currently we have an SRT team that's looking at emergency traffic control applications for unplanned events that occur frequently on our system. Over the last couple of years, we've also worked to improve safety through numerous investments in technology, innovation, protective devices, and training. Our goal is to remove boots on the ground where possible on those high hazard activities, improve visibility of our mobile operations, and also ensure employees are well trained to quickly identify and mitigate any hazards that come across. I'm going to briefly highlight just a few investments that we're making to our safety program that are having big impacts. As noted earlier in conversations, truck-mounted attenuators, or TMAs, are one of the most critical safety devices that we have. Since 2021, we've averaged one TMA strike, just over one TMA strike every week. That's disturbing. And those are on operations that are moving, like sweeping, striping, pothole patching, the common things that we do daily. TMAs proved to be an effective way of protecting not only our crew members, but also members of the public that are inattentive driving through our work zones. We're currently adding an additional 89 TMAs for use around the state. Of those 89, 59 of those TMAs are also being equipped with a TMA flagger innovation. This was developed by our own MoDOT employees a few years back. The TMA flagger utilizes a trailer-style TMA that's modified to become an automatic flagger assistance device. The unit provides clear direction to motorists through clear variable message, color message boards, automated stop-slow paddles, and a flashing red and yellow signal attached to the device. The primary function is to get our flaggers off the road and out of traffic. Additional benefits include providing better direction to motorists while also protecting the work crew with a TMA. So additionally, we've added 200 video recording devices to TMA units in 3 urban areas of the state. TMA video recording systems provide valuable data to help us understand driver behaviors just before an impact, and also what we can do to improve our operations. The footage is used to help train our protective vehicle drivers, also to help them understand how to react with countermeasures like audible alerts and also the emergency alert lighting that we've placed on all of our TMAs. Post-incident recordings help us to ensure accountability of inattentive drivers. They also assist in the recovery of damage losses, issuance of citations to drivers, and the prosecution of drivers that leave the scene following some of these crashes. And I do have a short video clip here. I will show you an example of what we've captured on our recorders. Yeah, so these are the unfortunate things that our folks are dealing with. Again, clear sight distance, plenty of space to get over, just clear inattention. To help increase the visibility of our crews, we've also invested in an additional 77 vehicle-mounted full matrix message boards. And you can see from the pictures, there's clearly a difference in the quality and the visibility of these boards. So that is more of our standard now when we order new equipment. But these boards do provide much better flexibility in messaging to drivers and also a brighter image on our mobile operations. A few of the other things we've done, we've also invested in additional equipment and technology to automate work processes and eliminate the need to have workers on foot. Automated pothole patcher utilize a remote controlled spray arm to apply materials so the operator actually never has to leave the cab. 2 units were added last fall, and we're also adding an additional unit to arrive this summer. I believe that makes a total of 7 after we received the one in the summer that we have statewide. Striper automated recording and layout systems also provide our stripers the ability to accurately record the location of roadway markings before the roadway is repaved. Once the roadway is repaved, we actually can access the original markings, and they can be duplicated with the GPS location and keep workers safely off the road and out of harm's way from having to go out and physically mark those on foot. 1 unit's already in use this year. We're actually adding an additional 5 units by the end of this calendar year. In addition to some of that equipment, we've also, in our Safety and Emergency Management Division, we've implemented a formal unmanned aerial vehicle program within the department. Some of our early benefits include the ability to work away from the roadway, eliminating struck-by hazards for our employees. ability to perform elevated inspections from the ground, eliminating fall risk, and also access to areas that were previously inaccessible or needed specialty equipment to be able to get in and inspect. This also results in the ability to reduce or eliminate lane closures in many cases, which also protects our employees and the public. So in the last 6 months, crews have performed 39 bridge inspections, 34 LiDAR surveys, along with multiple incident and event flights. During the 6-month period, we had an estimated savings of contracted traffic control of $481,000. So it's very easy to say the UAVs quickly pay for themselves. When it comes to training, we've also made significant investments in our employee development. Safety training is critical to ensuring our employees understand the hazards they're going to be encountering each day and how to address them properly. We're currently conducting our annual spring statewide safety trainings, with one of our main focus areas emphasizing daily work planning. This is just a quick overview of what our MoDOT staff receive for basic awareness training as a maintenance worker series. You can see there's more than 30 required courses. Many include on-the-job components, and we want to ensure they have the competencies that they've been mastered prior to actually sending them out on the roadway to perform work. And they also are typically followed with on-the-job components with a mentor to make sure that they understand the critical components before they're turned loose on their own. Directly linked to training is the MoDOT Management System Safety Module. That's really been a game changer when it comes to providing detailed data to reflect areas of success in areas where we also need to improve in our operations. The safety scorecard is a measure of safety and health and the culture and commitment of each of our organizational units. Updates to our safety scorecard have placed more emphasis on the leading indicators of safety, like training, driver behavior, and observations that we can do to prevent incidents from occurring. Additionally, we've included emphasis on tracker focus areas of backing, slips, trips, falls, strains, and sprains, and also a score for accountability. I'm happy to report that 92% of our 486 organization units have a score of 80% or higher, which is very good. We're currently working individually with remaining units that need improvements. You can see one snapshot here of a broken down score, and I think it's important to kind of highlight this is a bridge crew out of our central district that has one of the highest scores in the state, and that's a very, very hazardous occupation, very strenuous occupation. So those folks are doing an awesome job of paying attention to what's going on. One of the other items or a key to successful safety program is employee involvement, especially when it comes to identifying those leading indicators of potential issues. Having employees identify hazards through routine planned observations is critical to preventing incidents. Good catches are unplanned discoveries of hazards in our facilities, work areas, and our equipment. Near misses are incidents that did not result in damage or injury, but if repeated, they could have catastrophic consequences, and we may not be as lucky the next time. We've seen great involvement in all three areas, great increases this year. And then also some of the positive results we've seen over the last year include a 23% reduction in total recordable injuries, or those injuries that require medical treatment at a medical facility, a 31% reduction in our slips, trips, and falls, which is one of our focus areas in Tracker, and then also a 15% reduction in total work comp cost, which amounts to over $1.3 million in savings to our road fund that can be invested in other areas. We also continue to utilize vehicle telematics in all department vehicles to provide details on our driving performance and identify areas of risk. I'm happy to report that within our agency-wide, where 97% of our vehicles are being operated at a very low risk. We virtually eliminated speeding and seatbelt exceptions and setting the example for all Missouri motorists. And then also, as part of our ongoing efforts to build the desired safety culture that we want to have in MoDOT, we've continued to dedicate a day to all employees to focus on safety. This is called our Stand Up for Safety Day, and this is an annual event since 2015, so this year marks our 10th anniversary, and it'll be held on Thursday, July 18th. The overall goal is to improve safety, not only ourselves, but also for our customers. During this day, we actually take time to pause during our busiest time of the year, discuss risk related to our processes and operations, and take a detailed look at things like personal protective equipment, facilities and equipment, and also other areas that we can make improvements. And finally, continue our efforts to be a national leader in worker and motorist safety. MoDOT will be hosting the North American Association of Transportation Safety and Health Officials, or NACHO, as we call it, our annual conference this year later in Branson. So the conference will be held August 4th through the 8th, and this gives an opportunity to bring together occupational safety directors and staff from around the country to share best practices and programs that have been successful in protecting our workers. As host, we're provided the opportunity to highlight the efforts and successes of our MoDOT programs and also learn from other states on successes that they've had. While this event falls during a scheduled commission meeting week, unfortunately, we hope that you might actually be able to find time to join us if your schedules allow. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna, I want to thank you again for your attention and also your continued support for our safety programs. Sending our workers home each and every day is the most important thing that we can do. So thank you very much, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment. First of all, I've only been on this board just for a few months, and I can say that without a doubt, the number one priority and the number one topic that comes up at every meeting that I'm in virtually is safety. And I certainly want to thank the entire MoDOT team for all the work you do there. And thank you for this update. This is very informative. Certainly, we know that there's a lot of work being done in that area. It's very dangerous work on the highway. I know just on my way in on one of the highways in St. Louis yesterday, there was striping being done on one of the major highways, and they had these, I guess, attenuators. They had plenty of signs. They had plenty of warnings. They had lights. They had everything, and there were cars flying by these vehicles, this equipment at incredible speeds. I'm talking about 80 plus miles an hour. It was, and of course, you know, the one thing I think about is that, I mean, these are people that are doing these jobs, and there's so many, it's hard to believe that people are so oblivious to the dangers that are involved to themselves and to others, but it's reality. So I thank you for your great work there. And, you know, this is obviously a very important topic, the most important topic I think that we talk about in these meetings and what's going on at MoDOT. And there's a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that MoDOT does, but the safety component, the people that are actually doing the work, it's actually the most, in my view, the most important priority. But I want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the team's leadership, and certainly want to thank all the MoDOT workers for the work they do day in and day out, not only to improve the structural environment in the transportation infrastructure, but also for the work they do to help protect the best they can the many employees that are out doing the work every day. I really have a tremendous a lot of respect for all the MoDOT workers that are doing a job that's so critical to our economy and moving people from one place to the other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Director?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris, can you go back a couple slides to the fleet safety score piece right here? It's great to see these results, but if we reported these out a couple of years ago, we would not have seen these numbers. When we first put the telemetrics in place across the organization, and you know, again, these are in all MoDOT vehicles now. We found in the first 3 months when we were just watching this, almost 36,000 violations of just speed and safety belt of our own team doing our own work on the state's dime. What we're measuring here is compliance with state law and commission policy and department policy. And what I can say is from that shocking level of complacency that we found ourselves in, which I think creates tremendous risk. We have layered in a measure of accountability that our team in 6 months improved by 99.3%. And this is not all perfectly agreed to by everyone. But what we also recognized, and I've been going around to spring meetings this past couple weeks, bringing in the context, the why. You know, our solemn pledge to our employees is that they go home safe every day after every shift for their entire time working at MoDOT, hopefully for an entire career. And, but I've really, I think, kind of evolved in that thinking. Our pledge isn't just to those employees. It's to their families. It's to their communities. It's to the people behind them that care about them and for them. And it's to the organization as a whole. Because what we have found is that there are some people that aren't cut out for this work. And it's our responsibility to identify those individuals and to send them home to their loved ones, even if they don't come back the next day and working for MoDOT. And that's a tough thing to do. We did this in the teeth of the highest turnover we've had, in the midst of the coming out of the pandemic, when training and you know, the capacity to do some of the things that we need to do were very difficult. But it also is a recognition that in the last 5 years, we've probably welcomed nearly 2,500 new people into the organization, which is shocking and stunning. And fortunately, we've been able to do that. But it renews our focus on training. Chris and his team, Becky's leadership, the entire enterprise has gotten behind this. The Geotab team, we did share a national award that we received a couple months ago. They've never seen an enterprise turn on a dime like this before, nationwide. So we are the example. I'm sharing this at the national level. Chris is sharing this at the international level. He is an expert. He gives a lot of his time to move the state of practice here, not only nationally, but internationally. And then he brings back what he learns from overseas, and we incorporate it into our plan. Great leadership, but the MoDOT team has really responded here in a way that is striking and is worth noting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director. Chris, two things. One, the UAVs, very exciting to see the department utilizing that technology. And I still think there's a lot of room that tech is going to help us really with the way that we do our maintenance programs and several other items moving forward. So I'm so happy to see that we've adopted the UAVs in our operation. Second thing is just to add to the comment that the director made. Missouri is not only a national leader, but an international leader in a lot of different categories. And, you know, just like this North American Association for Transportation Safety and Health Officials, to have that here, for you to take time out of your schedule to make that happen, for your team to do that, it's a big deal. And we learn a lot from leading and doing those things. So just kudos to the staff for stepping up into those leadership positions. You don't have to do it, but you do. And it truly makes a difference. You end up with items like we have right up here, to where it's measurable results, to where it's things that can be replicated throughout the country. It's a really big deal. So thank you for that, Chris.
Thank you. And thank you to the director for his leadership. You know, we held a safety summit last year that is still being talked about in a lot of our committee meetings as an example of how to do things and improve. And we're taking that and again, trying to kind of keep that going, that momentum with our Nacho group. So thank you for your support.
Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Lance Taylor, Transportation Planning, will present the new draft STIP. Lance?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna, it's my pleasure today to be able to present to you the draft 25 to 29 statewide transportation improvement program, or what I'm going to randomly refer to as a STIP throughout this. You know, transportation planning has a a real opportunity to participate in organizationally impactful efforts. And I think none are more important probably than the draft STIP. It's really a MoDOT team effort. It's more than just transportation planning. It's the same folks that are involved in delivering the $1.6 billion worth of work. It's bridge, it's finance, it's multimodal, safety, and maintenance. It is a team. It is a real effort by all parties to get this put together. I want to thank Amy Binkley and the statewide programming team from my staff, because they provide the leadership of shepherding us through this process. And I'm very appreciative of the district staff that work directly with our partners to be able to have, those conversations about what opportunities there are to be able to move needs within each community forward. The statewide transportation improvement program is part of the MoDOT's financial planning model. The foundation of that model is really the financial forecast. Once it's developed and approved, it allows us to determine the operating budget and then the funds available for the statewide transportation improvement program. We utilize in Missouri the planning framework for our transportation planning approach. It's the award-winning, nationally recognized approach to transportation planning. It relies on bottom-up decision-making, having the data and the right people in the room to be able to make educated decisions on how to move transportation forward. We have terrific partners in Missouri. In order to use the planning framework, you've got to have folks that are committed to it and committed to transportation planning in your state. The metropolitan planning organizations, the regional planning commissions, are really in touch with the needs and wants within their communities. And we would not be able to deliver this if it wasn't for their assistance. And so we're very appreciative of that. This graph is the contractor awards over the 5 years of the draft STIP. This comes from the financial forecast. And this really kind of tells us the ups and downs from year to year on what's available for contractor awards. And really that's a product of the impacts of major projects and the cost and the timing of those projects. Additionally, once we have that information, we can know how much funds are going to be distributed to the districts for programming. The funding distribution here shows all 5 years, and you can see that there's 2/3 of the funds are pushed towards asset management over the 5-year window, really demonstrating our commitment to our asset management first approach. So the good news on the draft STIP is that we have $13.8 billion included in the document. That's the second highest ever for MoDOT. It is second to the current STIP by about $100 million or so. And it includes 13.
Just wait about a week. We're going to break a record again.
You're stealing my thunder. No. But it includes 1,383 road and bridge projects that are spread throughout the state that are going to be impactful to be able to move transportation forward here in Missouri. Each year when we do the draft STIP, we like to see how we're doing in our commitment to asset management. If you look at this graph, over the first 3 years of the draft STIP, not including I-70, 83% of the work that has been programmed is committed towards asset management. That's a little bit of the total asset management pot, and then some funds being pushed up the waterfall, as we call it. There are some capital improvement in other projects, but very focused on asset management. In terms of the number of miles and the number of bridges that are included in the draft STIP, right at 11,700 miles of roadway will be touched in Missouri. That's in lane miles, and 955 bridges. And this is a variety of different work. It's robust treatments that replace pavements all the way to the preventative and the contract maintenance type work. And the same goes for the bridge. Because projects that are programmed are commitments by the commission and by the department to be delivered, we like to look at how projects transfer from STIP to STIP. And so from the current to the draft, we've had a project growth of about $291 million or 8.4%. When we dive into that 8.4%, we determined that that's about 4.3% inflation, just increasing the unit cost of the components of the projects, and about 4.1% in scope enhancements and increasing the scope of the projects. As we do additional engineering, we may find that additional needs that have to be addressed. We also recognize the commitment and timing of projects. So of the projects that moved from the current to the draft, there were 216 projects that had some type of schedule adjustment. Those schedule adjustments are typically related to when the finance is available, when funding is available, and then occasionally project constraints that require a delay or potential acceleration. And looking at the number of added projects, there were 355 projects added to this draft STIP, the vast majority of which, 307, were asset management type work. And then we also look at the number of projects that were removed. Recognizing those commitments, we want to be good stewards and have an accounting for what isn't there. In this instance, the vast majority of those projects that were removed from between the current and the draft were projects that were programmed on I-70 that work was integrated into the Improve I-70 program. Speaking of I-70, of the $2.8 billion in legislatively designated and funded initiative funds, I've stumbled through that a lot. There's $2.4 billion remaining in this STIP. It is all programmed in years 25 through 27, and it represents about 703 lane miles of existing pavement and 16 existing bridges. We also include the multimodal programs within the STIP. And this draft STIP includes $1.1 billion in total funding across all of the multimodal programs. And if you look at the chart, you can see that there's been a significant increase over the last 5 years in the total value of all multimodal programs, increasing from less than $200 million in total to more than $400 million in total. So over doubling in 5 years. We also include the maintenance operation, pavement and bridge work plans in the draft STIP. This is an example of the Central District work plan. I like to use Central because it shows the turtle, and but it's important that we have this here. It lays out for the citizens in each region the work that they would anticipate from maintenance and operation that's going to impact them. And this work helps us to maintain our assets. It's a lot of the work that helps us on the low volume, but it extends to the other systems as well. So what's next? There's no action for you today, so I'm easy on you now, but we're gonna, with this presentation, we'll also do a news release, and we'll post the draft STIP to the website. It'll kick off a 30-day comment period. At the end of that comment period, we will assess those comments and make considerations for any adjustments. During this time, we'd expect that there'll be some action or decision on the potential legislative action. And then back in July, we would anticipate bringing a final version of the STIP back to you for your approval. After that approval, then we work through USDOT to get it formally approved for implementation. And with that, it would be my pleasure to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Lance. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'll make it quick. Thank you, Lance. Really appreciate the efforts that you and your team have done, along with our partners. As one who has served on both a Transportation Advisory Council and a metropolitan planning organization, I do like the grounds up approach, being able to have that local input into the process. It really is a model that I'm glad that other states look at and admire. Now, also being on a TAC and a MPO, I do hear from time to time, the projects, like the big project, the big high dollar project that they'd love to put as a first priority, tend to get kind of moved down the path because we just, in the past, have not had the resources to do it. But I think then that those type of projects then end up on the unfunded
Yes.
projects list. Yeah. So that's of all the complaints I hear about it, that's the only one that really has some admitted merit to it. But we are addressing that as well by putting them on these unfunded project lists that we can, when we do have the funds, we're able to do good. So really love the process. Thank you. I know it takes many hours of your folks to work to bring, because you bring that stuff to us as local members of the communities to look it over, and then we give our input and kind of align it and set it up as the way we think the priorities ought to be. So a lot of hours, really appreciate it. I mean, two big things that I see that this commission does. I mean, one's a budget, and I'm kind of used to doing budgets, and secondly is the STEP. It's planning our plans out there, and just really appreciate all the efforts that you and your whole team and the whole MoDOT team goes into to putting this grounds up, project and program together. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the entire MoDOT team, we appreciate those kind words. So thank you.
It's probably appropriate, since we do have one of our partners in the room, to recognize OTO Executive Director Sarah Fields. Thank you for being here. Because as it was mentioned, without those metropolitan planning organizations, without our regional planning commission, or without our regional planning commissions throughout the state, we'd be a little lost. And that process works very well. So appreciate you being here, Ms. Sarah. Director?
Yeah, just want to make two comments here. Number one, keep in mind that the federal requirements for creating the capital program that we go through do not include the operating and maintenance plan that we have added in as an additional measure of accountability, because it's a material amount of resources at the public level, and it shows the multi-year planning that our system improvements have enabled. And multimodal, we add those in as well. Those are not requirements of the STIP, but that's a full measure of accountability from the department. I think it's really appropriate. Those were great additions in the past several years. And the other thing, when we were doing our management review, Lance and the team, the entire organization, just a couple of years ago, we created a kind of a concept. Our highway traffic and safety team, Nicole Hood, John Nelson and company, working in conjunction with our planners and our design teams, created a document called SAFER. And it is really just a representation and a reminder at the visioning stage of projects to be putting in measurable safety improvements into our projects, to consider the context of the design. And it's a very common sense approach to what's being attempted at the national level, implemented here with really common sense in Missouri. If we go back a couple of years, because we also challenged the team in our management review to show us the return on investment, and in particular for safety on our projects. It's easy to say that every project is a safety project. It's a lot harder to build it in with intention. And certainly smoother pavement, all of those things contribute to safety. But if we go back a couple of years, about 16% of our projects we could really latch onto with measurable return on investment with regard to the safety. And there are separate safety funds, both committed by the commission as well as at the federal level. And in this year's review, just really a year into implementing this, just a very common approach. We ask about a dozen questions, and we we have done this. We went from 16% to nearly 2/3. 231 out of 351 new projects include measurable safety improvements. And that is the primary increase in scope that Lance mentioned, about a 4% increase in scope. It was inserting safety improvements along the way. That's going to play out in lives saved in this system. And for a system that's losing 1,000 lives a year, I think this is the best money spent. I want to congratulate our team for taking that so seriously. That's a significant change in just a couple of years' time. So Lance, thank you for doing that, and for the entire team to do it. So it's not just operations, it's the way we design projects as well.
Commissioner Erdman?
Yeah, yesterday we spent most of the afternoon doing a really deep dive into asset management, maintenance, and it was very illuminating how much sense it makes to preserve what you have and to catch it early, because it becomes much more expensive to do it if you defer it. And I think that was a central takeaway from the deep dive yesterday into asset management. And when you couple that with all the public surveys that show that the public wants us to take care of what we have, it was against that backdrop that we talked about looking at the allocation strategy in the STIP and continuing the progress that prior commissions have made toward allocating toward maintenance and preservation, and expressing gratitude to the General Assembly for appropriating money for capacity. I think we're on the right track, and I hope we continue on the track that's been established. We continue to move in that direction. I personally would welcome any thoughts when we meet in July to look at the STIP as to thoughts the management team might have about how we continue that progress, but more importantly, how we allocate the STIP in a manner where safety, maintenance, and asset management remain high priorities in the allocation strategy.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. We have a lot we're covering today, so we're going to take a 15-minute break. We will reconvene at 11:05.
Right.
All right, we're going to get started. Let me turn my mic on. We're going to get started again. Next item is a non-action item. Kelly Backus, Transportation Planning Specialist, is going to provide us with information about this year's Innovation Challenge Showcase.
Yes, it's exciting.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and Director McKenna. I am Kelly Backus, and I'm the statewide coordinator for our Innovations Challenge. And I'm going to show some highlights to you today of our showcase from 2 weeks ago. All right, so as you can see here, our annual showcase is a pretty big deal. This year, we hosted the showcase in Columbia again at the Expo Center, and the centralized location has proven to be a great way to allow employees throughout the state to gather and drive in for the day, and that they did. We had over 400 employees and visitors, and we welcomed a few out-of-state guests as well. So our special guests were from the Utah and Indiana State Departments of Transportation, and they left Missouri definitely stunned and impressed and jealous. So that was pretty cool. They are actually hoping to build an innovation program similar to ours. They each have something in the works, but they're looking for more of a showcase and how do we do such wonderful things and get so many people involved in innovations. We did chat with them a little bit, a couple of us there, and we shared our culture. Ed sat with them for a while, also showed them the fundamentals of how our program actually works. And we did a little bragging too, because they want to mirror our program, but they certainly, like I said, they left very motivated and very excited, and we're happy to be there. So before I dive into the exciting, it's all exciting, but before I dive into the highlights of Showcase, I want to publicly thank our central office and district coordinators we have throughout the state. Every district has its own coordinator. We have 3 in central office, and they do an awesome job, and without them, we would not have the program that we have. They promote the competition throughout their regions. They collect submissions, and they do all the technical reviews. They also award first round winners in their district and in central office. And they prepare the innovators. One cool thing that a lot of the districts do is they work with their innovators and their participants before they come to showcase, so they can get a really, really good leg up and know what to expect. I also need to thank the crew who help every year. They are amazing, and this success wouldn't happen if they weren't at the event and helped me throughout the whole year. So just going to rattle off some names. They already know who they are. But a big thank you goes to Kate, Sarah, Evan, Kyle, Mark, Sheldon, Scott, and Jessica. And then we have the talented media crew. So Amato and Emily were also there, and they do an awesome job capturing the showcase. And you'll see that in just a moment. So even though we are in our 17th year, we are still filling the Expo Center, as the director mentioned earlier. It's just you don't see how we could do it, every year and have this many wonderful things, but we really do. It's inspiring, as you can tell here. It's inspiring to see employees come from all across, and they're engaging with each other. And one of the goals that that Showcase is all about is to encourage employees to think outside the box and be creative and share their innovations with the whole state. And it's by doing this, we develop and implement new ways of doing business every year. So this year, we had 52 total innovations on the floor, and 20 innovations were showcased in our productivity category. And these are innovations that are centered around our processes and materials and our products. And employees develop these to make their jobs more efficient and conserving resources. We had 12 compete in the projects category this year. Projects are innovative efforts that demonstrate exceptional results in transportation. They are also sometimes a management-driven type of project. For tool and equipment, we had 20 exhibits on the floor this year. Took up a lot of space on the floor as they do every year, but it's really cool to see all of them. The innovations in the tool and equipment category are fabricated or modified hand tools and equipment that mostly improve the safety. That's kind of the goal, but also not only of our employees and our customers, but also saving time and money. So I'm going to give you a little recap of our top winners in each category. So here's a look at the top winners in productivity. We had 2 innovations from the Kansas City district taking home top honors. They are for the streetlight labeling and recovery innovations. The Southeast District also picked up 2 spots in this category with their winter snow shift innovation and the operator alert system. Next in projects, our transportation planning took home the win for their new and improved SIMS innovation. The Southwest District took 2 in this category, one for their Joplin Crowder College collaboration program, and also for their review and comment sheet innovation. The Southeast District's typical applications app rounded out the top 4 in projects. So you'll see here in tool and equipment, the Southeast District dominated the tool and equipment category this year. They had 3 innovations win in this category, and they were the Signpost Step Plus, their wear-resistant bearing, and the snowplow frame jack. The Northeast District captured a top spot with their adaptable slope trailer sprayer. And we have Directors Awards. This is something we started several years back, kind of whenever we got into the safety, service, and stability focus. So first, we have for the Safety Award winner, it went to the St. Louis District for their tailgate wrap. The Communications Division Customer Service Standard Responses took home an innovation for the Director's Service Award. And the Stability Award was given to the Financial Services Division for the Fax Electronic Data Sharing Innovation. And finally, for the coveted bragging rights, we had the Dixon People's Choice winner went to the Southeast District for their Signpost Step Plus. As promised, here are some big highlights.
Innovation at MoDOT isn't just about technology. It's about transforming our mindset to improve every facet of our operations. Innovation is synonymous with cost savings. By adopting new technologies and improving processes, we're able to do more with less, enhancing efficiency across every level of our department. A safer workplace is a more efficient workplace. Our commitment to caring for our employees is at the heart of our innovative efforts, making every work environment better and safer. And innovation fosters stronger relationships among our employees. When they feel heard and valued, they invest more deeply in their work and in each other, creating a dynamic and supportive workplace. This year, on April 17th and 18th, we witnessed the culmination of a year-long process. MoDOT employees across the state have been refining their skills daily. These efforts culminate into the Innovation Showcase, a demonstration that citizens' tax money is in the right hands, the hands of people who care and believe no task is too small to be overlooked. Together, we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible. At MoDOT, innovation isn't just about new ideas. It's about creating a sustainable, safe, and supportive environment where we all thrive.
So I'm Joe Moore, and this is Tim Hellbush, St. Louis. When I was the safety and health manager over there, we had an issue with our contract folks that go out there to do the guardrail repairs, getting on and off the highway. And their concern was they weren't being seen. So we started talking, and Tim and I worked with Alan Lane, our GS manager, and we thought about our ER trucks, how they have the extra tapes on the back to kind of identify it. And so we started working with the group, and we come up with the tailgate wrap that basically just highlights our trucks, gives us a little bit more, we're there, so when we're coming on and off the road, we can be seen a little easier. And it actually worked really well, because following once we started working on this is when the new typical applications were changed. And following that change, where we're able to use our work truck as our protected vehicle, this gives our rear end of our trucks or our cars, SUVs, whatever you want to put on it, more of appearance like you would see on a TMA. So it kind of gives you that extra, we're here on the road, because a lot of these people work by themselves.
I'm Taylor Bruni with Central Office Communications, and a couple of years ago, we formed a team with field personnel and communications staff to try to improve the customer service internal processes and ultimately improve customer service external satisfaction. And so from that team came this idea for standardized responses for our customer service reps.
So our innovation is the fax electronic data sharing system. And in what the system does is it simplifies the application process for projects and takes 3,500 different obligations yearly and cuts the process in half, essentially.
My name's Tom Bishop from the Bunker Maintenance Facility, and our innovation is the Signpost Step Plus. And this came up with to aid us in flipping hinged signs. And basically it fits on to any square post, and you can adjust it to any increment to help in flipping our signs. And if it needs to support a extension ladder, it can also do that by cradling the top rung of the ladder.
Why does the culture at MoDOT exist? And the questions that some of our guests were asking us were, how did you get here? And it's been an evolution, but I think it really is about we expect it, right? And it starts with our commission. Our commission governance that allows us to have continuity throughout different changing environments allows us to keep doing this stuff, right? Our leadership believes it, supports it. I told the team from the other states, I said, innovation is in your organization everywhere. You just got to decide, do you want to encourage it, make it blossom, or do you want to just leave it there and let it sit in the dark?
And to get to see the innovation that we had next door really puts into context what makes this organization what it is and the success that it is. We may not have the largest staff in the United States. We may not have the resources that other states have, but the product and the service that we are able to achieve with the group that we have, it's because of the people. It's because of you guys. It's because of your passion. It's because of your excitement. And ultimately, it's because that happiness and that excitement is because we get to serve. We get to serve those around us. And that's a fun thing and a blessing for each and every one of us in this room.
So pretty awesome, right? Hopefully you guys, each of you would be able to attend at some point in the next year or two. It would be great. A big thank you to you for your dedication and your support for this program. Also to Director McKenna and our executive team. It's just a wonderful thing that's so fun to be around and to see these being implemented throughout the state. So at this point, I would be happy to address comments or questions.
Any questions or comments?
Kelly, not really a question, but it's a comment. I really hated I missed it this year. I've been the last 7 or 8 years, but wasn't able to make it. But congratulations on another successful innovation showcase. And, it's amazing to see our people try to come up with all these great ideas to protect themselves, protect the public, the driving public. And it's also, they left there and they're thinking, what are we going to do next year? We got to beat those guys, So it is a great deal, and I would highly encourage the new commissioners who haven't attended one to attend one someday. It's a great deal, it really is. So thank you for your work on it. We appreciate you very much.
Thanks,
Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In typical MoDOT fashion, Kelly just listed off a whole bunch of names of people, thanking them for all their efforts and left herself off that list. I'd just like to say it because, one of the reasons for the success of this program is Kelly's been leading this effort statewide for a number of years, and it just keeps getting better every year. And it requires a lot of effort to continue the program, to remind people, everyone's busy, and to sustain the effort takes true leadership. And Kelly's been offering that to this program for a long time. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thanks.
There's not a lot of places that offer the opportunity. The work that I do every day in Southeast Missouri, we have crews on the ground doing maintenance work. And there's not a lot of organizations that provide the opportunity for this wealth of knowledge within that group to be able to have a platform to push for change, to innovate. And kudos to MoDOT. And this wasn't started with this commission, but many commissions ago. What a wonderful program that drives a culture that is always looking for better ways, a better way of doing things. And really, you look at the results of this. In a lot of these categories, we're cutting the edge across the country. So, Kelly, thank you. Thank the team. And just really, this is important. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next agenda item is a non-action item. Ms. Terry Parker, Assistant Chief Counsel for Project Development, and Sam Marshall, Environmental Chemist, are going to present about a patent application.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission members, and Director McKenna. We're going to spend a few minutes this morning talking about MoDOT's patent program. And then it will be my pleasure to introduce the first MoDOT employee to submit a patent application to the United States Patent Office. As you heard from Kelly, we began this process several years ago, with kind of generally this idea of asking our employees to submit innovations and come up with new and cool things. So as you saw just a minute ago, lots of cool ideas, lots of neat things are displayed and discussed at our usual innovations program. And lots of times we talk at that time period about, oh, it would be great to get a patent for some of these ideas. We've never been able to do that before now because there are legal rules and regulations that surround that patent area. But we were able to isolate this one process that Sam is going to talk about for patenting. And I know we've been asked in the past, well, why do you want to do a patent? Why is that even important? And I do want to assure you, it's not a money-making opportunity for the commission. It's a protection of the commission's assets and ideas. And I say that because we have had times in the past where former employees have used the equipment, the time, the facilities of the commission to develop ideas similar to what Sam will talk about today, but then they've sold them back to us. They've left the department, they've gotten a patent themselves, and then the commission has had to actually pay money in order to use those things that it already paid for. So essentially, this is a process to get in front of that, to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the program that we've developed allows innovative employees to be recognized, innovative employees like our friend Sam here today, and the ideas and the innovations that are developed can be shared with other public agencies. They can be shared with other DOTs, with cities and states, and even our contracting partners, once we have put the process in place to protect the commission. So I guess without further ado, I would like to introduce Sam Marshall. He's an environmental chemist, and as I said, he's the first person with the commission to submit a patent to the patent office. And he's going to talk to you about a cool and expensive process that he developed that's going to save time and money, and assist us during and after the road construction process. So, smartest guy in the room, start.
No, I'm not. First off, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commission. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Director. I'm just honored to be here and talk about this. I'm a product of the Innovation Showcase. I'd like to thank Terry, obviously. I'd like to thank Kelly and Evan for all they've done. One thing I want to start off with to kind of break the ice is I would have dressed up a little bit more, but I had to go into work a little bit early today to get some work done so I could fit this in. So, but I'm glad to be here, and I want to talk about this method. I can thank a lot of people for this because a lot of people helped me with this, but I'm the one that took the ball and ran with it. And we noticed back in 2010 that there was an issue with some of the aggregates that we were using in asphalt and concrete. And we thought that we needed to look a little bit more in depth in that. So this is how it all started in 2010, 2011. And eventually it was implemented in 2018. From 2018 to now, with all the work that I've done and looking back at everything, I took into consideration all the testing that I've done, and MoDOT has saved over $1 million in costs that would have cost us if we did not implement this method. We're talking instrumentation, we're talking independent labs, we're talking all kinds of intangibles. So using this method has saved us over $1 million since 2018. And this method only costs us about less than $20 to perform. The method involves concrete in 3 phases: aggregate, which is your coarse aggregate; the paste, which is your fine aggregate and your cementitious material; and then your voids, your entrapped air, and your entrained air. Now, this may look a little archaic. We've got a concrete core and a hammer. But you know what? When you use that hammer and you break it up, you can see a lot of things in concrete. So my focus is I look at certain points of the core, use that hammer, break it, and then I'm able to isolate what I'm going to look at. So when I have this all broken down, I target certain areas or certain sections where I see there may be some issues. And just by breaking that thing, I've been doing this for so long, I can detect what might be an issue. So I break it down into, first off, the aggregate and the paste. And what we need to do when we break that down is we need to isolate the aggregate, make sure it's not contaminated with the paste, and the aggregate is not contaminating the paste. So we use just a hook tip instrument to break that apart, to meticulously break it apart. And I use this, what's called a stereoscope, that can visually, I can look at it and make sure that there's no contamination on any of the material. So then from there, once I have these 2 things isolated, I've got the rest of the core that I can look at. And this is where I come into the extraction process or the solubility process, where I take the rest of that core and I use some distilled water and I boil it. And that'll take everything out of the voids, out of the entrapped air and trained air, and I'm able to look at what's in there, chemical tracers that's in there that we can identify. Once I've done that, I take that extracted water and I put it in these little vessels and I save it for my analysis later. Pretty simple. You boil it, you pour it into a vessel, you hold off for a little bit until you look at it. Now, when I analyze the aggregate and the paste, I have to do a little bit different process. I have to get it in solution because the instrumentation we do, it has to be in solution for us to analyze it. In MoDOT, we have the capability of doing instrumentally or analytically, old wet chemistry. So we have that capability. So I use those techniques to save us money, save us time, and be more more accurate in my analysis, because I like to do things two different ways to make sure that I've got the right number that I'm looking for, the right analysis that I'm looking for. So what I use here is it's just a fusing agent. It's called lithium metaborate. It basically encapsulates the sample, fuses it into a ball or a bead in a hot oven, and you drop it into a very weak nitric acid solution. And nitric acid solution is something that we use because it keeps things in solution. It keeps things stable. It won't drop out of solution, because if it drops out of solution, we can't analyze it. So we use an instrument called an ICP, and I'm not going to get into, you guys don't want a chemistry lesson today. And I'm not going to do it. So what I do is I take that fused sample, which is your paste and your aggregate, and then I take that extracted water sample, and then I analyze it on this instrument, and it gives me numbers. It gives me numbers that I'm looking for. And I've come up with a formula to take all those numbers and put them all together, and I'm able to identify what the problem with the concrete is. And what this test method advantage is, and the first thing that I mentioned was cost, savings, how much we save. You know, like I said, I figured over $1 million we saved off of implementing this method because of not using X-ray diffraction, not using scanning electron microscopes, using the materials that we have in-house. And that is a big deal. It saves time because I can do this method in one day. I can figure out what a concrete problem is in one day. It simplifies the work. And this is the most important. It assists MoDOT to determine pavement failure. And it also gives this innovative model for other customers to use. And I've helped other customers. I've helped cities, counties, determine what the concrete problem was. So we have been a very good, useful tool for other entities. And I think that's awesome that MoDOT can do that. And then it improves safety. And the reason it improves safety is, like I mentioned, with X-ray diffraction, your X-ray radiation. There's no radiation involved in this. So it's very simple process. It's a very detailed process, but since I've been doing this for so long, using all the things the tracers that I interpret or collect through this analysis gives me the model that I'm looking for. And I'm able to differentiate what the problem is, eliminate what they may think the problem is, and we're able to figure out what the issue is and move forward, what we need to do with it. And we've been very successful since implementing this in 2018. But it's just not me. It's been a whole bunch of people that no longer work for MoDOT that has helped me through this process. I've just been one that had taken the ball and ran with it. So this is one of the most exciting things. And to tell you, I've got something bigger coming. So I love coming to my job because I'm able to, MoDOT has given me the opportunity to explore and look into new ways to be innovative. And we were, awarded this year the National Research Award for all the work that we've done. We were able to collect that in Indianapolis in November, National Award for research. So that to me shows how MoDOT has been innovative and is able to take the resources that they have and be able to implement them and make a difference. So thank you very much for having me. This is an awesome experience for me to be here and tell you all about this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Any questions?
Well, I've got lots of questions, but just quickly, I guess, when you do the analysis, have you found there to be with the pavement failures, are there items that are causing this to replicate, or what, I guess, do you see consistency on the types of pavement failure with the analysis? So what I'm getting at is there one or two things? Is there 10 things? Is there 20 things that are causing these pavement failures? And have we been able to identify the source and then take that source out?
Yeah, typically what we see here recently is the aggregate.
Okay.
We've been able to look at some of the aggregates that we've been using, and we've been able to identify where these aggregate come from, and then be able to go about taking care of that issue.
Okay.
That's one thing. What's cool about this whole process is it's never the same. There's always something different. But this method can identify the model that we've created, can identify, and we're able to use those chemical tracers, things that I look for, to plug it into this formula and be able to figure out what the problem is. So nothing is consistent, but here lately, the consistency has been through some of the aggregate that we've seen.
And is that a regional problem? Is it from certain quarries? Is it statewide?
I don't want to really get into I don't know how to answer that.
We can discuss.
No.
Thank you for not naming quarries
That's
publicly.
fine. I assume that to be the answer.
Mr. Chairman, things have been, we've noticed things consistently within the last 10 years regionally. There's been changes.
Sure.
Geologically.
Right.
What we've done is we've been looking at the lab, looking at more ways of identifying and interpreting that issue.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Slay?
Yes, first of all, congratulations on your award and all the work that you do. You are a wonderful example of the talented team that we have here at MoDOT. I think that the opportunities for innovation that were talked about earlier have been helpful in allowing you to do the work that you're doing and creating a process of addressing an issue that's really prevalent throughout the entire system. And to me, it's incredible. And I think that the innovation that the organization is trying to encourage is helping with that. And it's also now what's happening is there are patent applications coming out of the organization, and I don't know how long that's been going on and how much of that is happening, but this is incredible, and certainly do appreciate your work and the work of your colleagues as well. But very, very special award, I know, and thank you for your continued dedication to your work and to MoDOT in general.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Director?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To build on, I think, the point you were making, I mean, Sam is referencing lab savings when he talks about $1 million. But when you talk about, the potential for savings in the durability of our infrastructure, this is in tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, not only in this state, but around the country. And just a quick note about Sam, that award was a AASHTO President's Award, very rare honor bestowed on Sam for his work. And we had the pleasure of being in Indianapolis when he received that award. And his 84-year-old mother lives in St. Louis, and he left directly from the award lunch because he wanted to surprise his mother. He gave his mother that award. And I think that just tells you all you need to know about Sam. Yep.
Yeah, that was very special. Very special to me.
Well, Sam, thank you. really appreciate this. I've got lots of questions, but I'll discuss them with you offline. But
I was afraid that I was going to bore you guys. I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this?
Well, you definitely didn't bore me. So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, I would love to, and I've enjoyed my 29 years at MoDOT, and I want to hopefully continue to see Kelly, because she'll miss me if I don't show up at one of the innovations.
That's right. Keep innovating.
Like I said, I've always got something going on, and I just appreciate everyone here that's supported me and supported the work that we do at the lab, because it's just not me. It's everybody. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next agenda item is a non-action item. Jason Bocard. Going to discuss information systems, information technology, and enterprise risk management. Jason.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, Director McKenna, thank you for having us today to talk about information technology. You may recall back in February, Kelly Niekamp was here with Audits and Investigations, and she presented on enterprise risk management. I kind of want to pick up where she left off. Kelly shared 10 enterprise risk management categories, one of them being information technology there. The Information Systems Division here at MoDOT is responsible for maintaining many critical applications. For instance, our Transportation Management System, or TMS, is used to track MoDOT assets and resources across the state. The MoDOT Management System, or MMS, is used to assign daily work, enforce safety, and track work actuals. The AshtaWare project, or AWP, is used to manage our construction program. Our traveling citizens rely on the Traveler Information Map. We help carriers get information, credentials, and permits they need to operate safely in Missouri. Beyond applications, our intelligent transportation system and our advanced transportation management system, ITS and ATMS, that's it with the acronyms, use a vast fiber optic network around the state. There are a multitude of ways IT systems and infrastructure introduce risk, and IT events across the country are on the rise. For instance, ransomware rose by nearly 50% in 2023, with nearly 4,000 victims, up from 2,700 victims in 2022. That is an average of 77 victims a week from ransomware. This does lead us to the IT risk events. Prior SMT discussions and brainstorming with management led to the identification of a lengthy list of potential risks. Those you see here on the screen are specifically for information technology, all 6 of these. I'm going to group these. First off, you see system failure and system destruction. Ensuring accessibility and availability of our systems is critical and largely dependent on physical attributes of systems, power, cooling, and physically secure entrances. Next, you have this hacking and cyber threats. The cyber threats we encounter come at us in myriad of ways, and I'll touch on what we do with our partners at the Office of Administration. And the last grouping here is of these two is the public expectations and system adaptability. And really what this gets into is ensuring that our systems are adaptable and can keep up with the continual changing desires of the public. I'm going to touch on each of these groups of risk events, but before I do, given these concerns and the precautions we take in IS, our risk scoring is depicted as such. The scoring involves all divisions and district leadership scoring the sections: preparedness, likelihood, and impact. And first in preparedness, it was scored at a 3.8. And while we have plans in place, our plans are continually changing. For example, we're moving our secondary data center from Kansas City down to Springfield. And preparedness is not a finish line, it's just a continual state. Likelihood was scored at a 3.7. And given the number of attacks we blocked today with the statewide Office of Cybersecurity, it's not a matter of if, but when, and to what magnitude it is. An example, in 2020, we had an employee compromised when they were sent a voicemail. One person clicked it, it propagated to others. to listen to this voicemail, and we ended up having over 100 people entering their user ID and passwords into this, and to listen to a voicemail that didn't even exist. Now, this is really why we prepare our users with phishing and education. And of course, on impact here, we have it at 4.1. We know that the impact is substantial. The more we rely on computer systems to perform our work, the more we drive up that impact. We drive down that impact by having disparate systems. In IT, we like to call it loosely coupled but tightly integrated systems. However, we know that anything can be very malicious. It can be very devastating, whether that be an MMS, TMS, or signals. It could also be financial, fleet related. Patrick alluded to the cyber events in KC Scout during his director's report, touching on the impacts to cameras, message boards, and more. So we are seeing that. As I mentioned, system failure and destruction often occurs from physical issues. Here are some of the primary precautions we take. Our primary and secondary data centers are maintained a specific distance apart due to the New Madrid seismic zone. Inside those data centers, we have backup generators to protect against storms and power outages. An example of that is back in March, a large portion of the downtown Jefferson City area experienced a power outage. Our data center here automatically spun up the generator, preventing any lapse in power. The data centers are also controlled with key card access and cameras, and we conduct backups of data. We leverage cloud storage to get it offsite as well. And across all the physical servers, we leverage redundancy in power supplies, hard drives, and processors. Fire suppression is used as well in all locations. And data encryption is done to protect against malicious destruction. While the redundant fiber optic rings around the state are not owned by MoDOT, rather a partner telephone company, we are very fortunate to leverage this infrastructure. We have had instances where a backhoe may accidentally dig into this fiber, and the traffic is just quickly rerouted around the other way of the ring. Now, hacking and cyber threats are the most likely threat we face. I won't go into each of these safeguards here, but here are some highlights. The statewide Office of Cybersecurity reports that they block nearly 18 billion hits a month on their firewalls and other tools. Our antivirus software here at MoDOT averages 30 imminent threats each day. And as reported in our last tracker, credential phishing is our primary email threat. Of those nearly 2,200 malicious emails we receive here at MoDOT each month, roughly 1,500 of those are credential phishing. This is why we do phishing exercises again, continually step up the complexity and continually seek to educate all of our users. And I will point out that our cybersecurity position listed there was created to provide oversight across all IT disciplines. The last area I wanted to touch on is the public expectations and system adaptability. We provide a lot of key applications, as mentioned earlier. Externally, it's the traveler information map, motor carrier express, and customer service. We also have those internal ones that we do day to day, the TMS, MMS, and AWP, and more. To meet the needs of our consumers, it's important to have redundancy in our data centers. One way we validate this is through having recovery plans and conducting annual disaster recovery exercises. Our application development team has also really stepped up over the last couple of years to establish development best practices and an application management plan. And through the use of our partners and our own internal resources, we are empowering users to leverage mobile devices for the collection of data. A good example of this is the Work Zone Inspection app. It's considerably easier to capture that information in the palm of your hand and send the results in electronically. The last two you see up there revolve around the quality of our applications. We not only scan our applications for vulnerabilities, but we partner with OA, who hires a third-party group of ethical hackers. They basically try to break into our systems, expose and find weaknesses in our applications. They then share those findings with us and along with the recommended fixes. So this has turned up many things inside of our own applications that you would not find in a traditional scan. So these 6 enterprise risk management events are a continual cycle of identifying and implementing mitigation efforts. I'll highlight a couple of them you see up here on the screen. We are working with OA to plan a production data center failover. In the past, we've only done recovery. In a bubble, true failover is next level. To prevent hacking and cyber threats, we're tackling the discovery of the Internet of Things, or the IoT. MoDOT has a tremendous amount of IoT, as you're all aware, up and down the roadways, cameras, signals, DMSs, sensors, et cetera. And we are working to better identify those assets and track their behaviors. To meet our public expectation and increase system adaptability, our teams are embracing Power BI. It's used for data visualization and transparency to the public. You may recall Michael Middleton also reporting back in February on MMS along with ERM. They are using Power BI to report on fleet, winter operations, striping, training, and more. I just love how they've taken off with this. Finally, we're identifying how we can leverage artificial intelligence. We're instituting a work group here within MoDOT and implementing proper governance around it. You know, what systems are acceptable with AI? When is it appropriate to use? And what data can you inject into it? Technology is always advancing, and we are always adapting to the risk it introduces. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you to the Commission and to the executive leadership for their support of information systems. Our staff and partners do a tremendous job enforcing the cybersecurity and enterprise risk management. At this point, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions? Commissioner Urban?
Yeah, thank you. Following up on the presentation we had on enterprise risk management, I have shared previously how essential I think it is to not only the operation, but to the board members get the opportunity to kind of see an analysis of risk and measure counter risk measures. I would imagine on your scoring of likelihood and impact that IT risk scores high on both. Yep. Almost certain on likelihood, and as we've experienced, impact can be nearly devastating. Mm-hmm. So as we look at enterprise risk management, IT would seem to be pretty high on the list, if not number one. I'm interested in, I believe we have a pretty robust system for MoDOT. I'm grateful for that. I suspect there might be some improvement made in affiliated organizations. Right. And we might want to take a deep dive to see how we can make sure affiliated organizations are going through the same rigor that MoDOT departments go through on this. And look for any direction you might provide us as to other areas you think need attention.
Absolutely.
Thanks
yes.
for the good work.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Commissioner.
Director?
Just briefly, you know, in absentia, I want to thank Beth Ring, our former IS director, because she helped recruit Jason here. Right. And we are very glad that he's here. Came in, made an impact immediately, and he's built a really talented team around him. They are on this every day. They're professional about it and their approach. And I couldn't agree more with Commissioner Erdman's comments there. And we will bring you those suggestions going forward. But Jason, thanks for your work.
Yeah, Jason, thank you.
Appreciate
your leadership. I know you've had a busy week.
That's been busy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, so now we're going to move into the public comment period. Members of the public who did not schedule a presentation before the commission, who did not schedule a presentation before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by having signed in at the registration desk by 9:30 a.m. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person, 10 minutes per topic. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone signed up? No public comments today. So moving along. Typically at the end of the meeting, we like to provide each of the commission members the opportunity to reflect on today's meeting. And today I will begin with Commissioner Erdman.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Commissioner Baker. We are delighted to have you. It's great to have you join the group, and I know that the weeks ahead will be challenging for you. I recall my first meeting. The thought that occurred to me was there's a lot to absorb here, but trust me, it will come in time, and we are extremely lucky to have you on this commission. I also want to mention my gratitude to Chairman Boatwright. You all don't get to see him behind the scenes like I do, but when the time calls for courage and commitment, Chairman Boatwright exhibits both. And I want to express that publicly, how much I appreciate. We're entering the final stages of the legislative appropriations process. Apparently things are gummed up over in the Senate. Who knows? We got less than 3 weeks, and there's a lot riding on it. Let's pray that there's a breakthrough. I think the thing I most want to end with is that I think there's been a sea change in Missouri. And I think that the public is understanding the importance of its transportation infrastructure. And at long last, we are beginning to commit state funds other than fuel tax funds to create capacity. And we've had a lot of discussion at this meeting about the importance of maintaining what you've got. It seems to me that the user fee resources that we're blessed to have go a long way toward vital maintenance. And I think we've demonstrated in the last 2 years that Missourians are ready to reinvest in capacity and improvement. I hope that the logjam will break and that we will have another banner year. And as we move forward, the STIP is an essential and vital process for planning. We are blessed beyond what anyone can imagine that we have a bottom-up capital program. It's informed by citizens and metropolitan planning agencies. It's the strength of this whole organization. I hope we might have the opportunity to think about the allocation strategies and look forward to hearing from management on that in the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Commissioner Slay.
Yes, first, I want to, again, just thank all the MoDOT employees, the leadership, all the people that work within the organization for your tremendous professionalism and the work you do every day. Things that every Missourian benefits from every day. It's amazing the responsibilities that you all have, and I'm always very encouraged by the tremendous amount of professionalism. We saw a lot of that today as well within the organization. I want to also welcome and look forward to working with Commissioner Baker. It's good to have you on board. I think I'm a relatively new member myself, and I am continually impressed. And, there's a lot to learn about the organization, and I'm continually impressed with the tremendous amount of talent within the organization. And I think some of the topics we discussed today, and particularly the last one on the cyber threats, is something that really does bring to the forefront, the importance of having the proper people and the infrastructure in place to protect against and to address, potential threats in that regard. So thank you all for your work. It's a real honor to be here sitting with this group of individuals and working with all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Hageman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It once again a pleasure to see all the efforts that we go to here in the department. Really enjoyed the Innovation Center opportunities and harken back to my chemistry and biochemistry days and your presentation. And I'm glad I've not had to utilize those resources for 40 years. So thank you for your knowledge on that. And what a wonderful thing. And I wish we had better aggregate in North Missouri, but I understand. There you go. I just, and that, I love the innovation. I love that we encourage that, and we look for better ways of doing things all the time. Thank you, Mr. Director, for doing that. Commissioner Baker, it's a pleasure to have you on board. Look forward to working with you on the western side of the state and looking at these issues. And we have some mutual friends down there that I truly enjoy as well, and look forward to working with. They say nice things about you. It's always great when your friends will lie for you. In my case, not yours. I understand. But no, it's just a pleasure. Well, I'm not going to talk about you, Commissioner. But no, it just, again, and I look forward to delving more into the STIP and seeing how our upper ground up plan works, and going through this nice document that's been put together. A lot of effort, but a wonderful way of doing business. Thank you very much for the years that you've put into developing this whole thing and working with our regional partners, and the tax also have opportunity to input into the process too. They're the more rural MPOs type of entities. And so just love all that. We're doing great work. Keep it up.
Thank you, Commissioner Hageman. Commissioner Baker.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. The past few days, I've been exposed to a lot. The theme in my mind is that transportation is critically important. It matters to all of us in unlimited ways. And the complexity of this organization has layer upon layer upon layer, the funding sources, the asset management, the view of the future, and it's all so interconnected. There is just so much to it. And it's been delightful for me to learn the little bit that I have just the past few days. The fellow commissioners, staff have been very welcoming and accommodating to me as I've asked so many questions. And I'm really rather proud of myself. I haven't asked any here today, although I've been invited to by many of you. But many, many questions. I've learned some new acronyms today. So far, my favorite is NACHO, obviously. I'm sure we could all agree on that. But thank you for the opportunity. The focus on the common themes is evident, but to hear the individual stories, the individual tales about the challenges and the successes here at MoDOT is engaging, and it's amazing. And I'm so happy to be part of this and to start this journey with all of you beginning today. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, first off, I want to tell Sarah Fields, glad you're here today. We appreciate seeing you in the crowd. It's been a while, but she represents that Springfield district very, very good, and she'll be on you now instead of me, probably. But anyway, she's not on me. She's just a pusher and does what's right for Southwest Missouri. And I'm glad you're here today, Sarah. Director, thank you for getting Sarah Polly over here. What a great run she's had, and the conservation's going to mess her. I look forward to her. I'm going to have her down and go turkey hunting one of these days, or fishing. I haven't had her down there as director because I didn't want her on my place. But now that she's not, I want her to come down. But not doing anything wrong. But anyway, she's a busy lady. But I want to wish her good luck in her retirement. Pam, thank you and your team for the good job done. Commissioner, we're glad to have you. Very, very glad to have somebody from Springfield in the Southwest District. So again, her and I have a lot of the same mutual friends. And anyway, great meeting. Don't forget, buckle up, phone down. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Well, after that, I don't have a whole lot to comment on. Appreciate the team, appreciate the work that we're doing, making a difference throughout the state. Just keep up the good work. Before we adjourn, I want to note that our next meeting is scheduled for June the 5th, 2024 here in Jeff City. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.